Hello, friends and listeners, and welcome to a Disney Life podcast, episode number 56 today. And we appreciate you being here with us to listen to us chat about all things Disney. And we always love it when our Disney friends and family join in on the conversation here. My name is Missy, and I am here with Rachel, my co host. It's great to see you this morning, Rachel.
It's good to see you too, Missy.
Are you enjoying summer? You're glowing today like you're enjoying this June.
Yes, I've got the blinds open, letting in some natural sunlight. We've had mild weather the last 2 days, so that's very nice. I am enjoying that.
Perfect. That's perfect. So, in today's episode, it's a little bit different than usual. We usually have a specific topic that we talked about, but there's a lot of different things happening and some announcements made recently for specifically Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando. So, we figured today we'd take a little bit of time to first of all discuss the 4th of July happenings down in Orlando for this coming weekend. And then talk about what is new and happening this summer at Walt Disney World. So, this is going to be different from our Cool Kids Summer episode. We're talking about some different newer things, announcements that have been made since that time when we spoke about this summer. And we appreciate you being here to listen. We'll be wrapping things up today with a listener question about back to back cruises. You all know that we love cruising, so we're happy to answer cruise questions whenever we get them. And we also have a little bit of talk on some new announcements about the holidays coming up at Walt Disney World. So thanks for being here and stay tuned.
Okay, so let's start off with something very exciting that will be happening at the end of this week, which is the 250th celebration of the birth, really, of the United States of America, the 4th of July coming up, celebrating 250 years. And, Walt Disney World, I have not celebrated July 4th at Walt Disney World, but I know Walt Disney World goes all out for their 4th of July celebrations at the Magic Kingdom and at EPCOT. So this is a very popular time to go and enjoy fireworks shows this year. And for this year, for the 250th, it seems like Disney is turning it up just a little bit for guests there. So 4th of July fireworks will be happening at EPCOT and at Magic Kingdom. They will not be happening at the two other theme parks located there. Magic Kingdom, the fireworks are taking place at 9 p.m. and the park will be open until midnight that night. Now, EPCOT will still have Luminous going on at 9 p.m., but they have a special show following Luminous, Heartbeat of Freedom. Have you heard much about that show before, Missy?
So this isn't the first year of them running it, but from what I have heard, a Heartbeat of Freedom starts at 9:15 following Luminous fireworks. And that'll be July 3rd, 4th, and 5th, which is helpful because it'll break the crowds down over 3 nights rather than just offering it on the 4th. I think it helps a lot that the 4th of July is on a Saturday this year, so that'll break
Mhm.
down the crowds overall throughout the holiday weekend. But it is said to be a display like you never see any other time there on at Epcot. I have a friend currently at Disney World that posted a photo just of the regular finale at Luminous last night, and she said her caption was something along the lines of "This never gets old." And I thought to myself, it's so true because when I saw that photo, and if you've ever seen the Luminous fireworks and how it ends, everything is just so bright white. The ending fireworks are massive and it lights up the whole sky like it's daytime just for a split second there at the end. And when I saw her photo, I felt like I can feel that boom inside of me. If you're standing there along the shores of World Showcase and at the very end when those final booms go, like you could feel it down to your core. And not only are you physically experiencing it, but the mental experience of it all is amazing too. So I would love to see this. Unfortunately, I will not be there. We'll have family celebrations happening at home for the 4th of July holiday. But this is said to be like nothing we've ever seen before other than at this specific show. So that's very exciting. And as you mentioned, over at the Magic Kingdom, we have Disney's Celebrate America, a 4th of July concert in the sky. And that is also happening July 3rd, 4th, and 5th this year at 9 p.m. So no happily ever after those nights. It'll be this special fireworks performance instead. And it's worth noting, if you want to see these fireworks, don't expect to just roll up to one of the monorail resorts and take a peek like you can most days of the year from those beach areas. Typically, at the holidays like this, when things are very crowded, they do reserve that space on the beach for actual guests of that specific resort. And they do often scan magic bands to get in there. So, if you want to see these fireworks, you need to either have a room at one of those resorts, possibly be seated somewhere for dining like Ohana that you can get a view of it during fireworks time, or be in the park itself, which will be crowded, but it's probably worth the experience, especially for such a momentous occasion for the country. I mean, 250 years, when you really think about it, is a pretty incredible amount of time. And regardless of any political views, it certainly should be an exciting time for our country and something to celebrate. So I appreciate that Disney's getting in on the celebration and doing a little bit of extra this year.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a lot of food offerings at the resorts and in the parks to celebrate the 4th of July, too. You will find, I'm not going to go through the entire list, but there's a lot of obviously strawberry themed desserts with some strawberry shortcake type desserts, strawberry cheesecakes, a lot of cupcakes. There's a really cute pinwheel cupcake that's available at Disney's Boardwalk Resort. These became available on June 15th. So if you've already been to the parks recently, you've seen these at the resorts and throughout the other parks too. There's several places where the cinnamon roll, the Mickey Mouse cinnamon roll that has now red, white, and blue drizzle over that, that's located at several resorts throughout property, and a red, white, and blue cake pop, which is a red velvet cake pop with festive sprinkles. That's also at several of the resort locations. Disney Springs, it's only listing one, a 4th of July Mickey Milk Chocolate Ganache Square that's located at the Ganachery. And then EPCOT has a few things. There's a S'morin' Across America milkshake, which sounds very interesting, but
Okay.
has a soaring hang glider on the top of it. And there's also a Sam Eagle Star Spangled Shortcake and a 1776 non-alcoholic beverage that you can find at Regal Eagle Smokehouse. Magic Kingdom also has a berry shortcake and a couple of red, white, and blue funnel cake and waffle that you can find in the park. And then at Hollywood Studios, there's a at Rosie's All American Cafe. They actually had a red velvet riveter, so playing off of the Rosie the Riveter theme there. That you can get the cake with a little chocolate circle on top, white chocolate circle on top with Rosie the Riveter. And I think one thing that is exciting that's coming now, a date has not been announced. So if it's there currently, I would love to know how long the lines are to receive this. But the Sam Eagle popcorn bucket, which if you are a fan of popcorn buckets, I think this would have to be one that goes on your list as a desired popcorn bucket. But you have Sam the Eagle standing at a podium. Sorry, got choked up there. I'm so patriotic.
So patriotic, you had to cough on us. Yes,
Patriotic.
it's kind of crazy how popular popcorn buckets are, but they are. So, as you said, it's Sam Eagle standing at a podium.
Yes, with his it looks like his hand over his heart, and he has the iconic Uncle Sam hat on top of his head. And they are limiting 2 per transaction, and they will be available while supplies last. This will be coast to coast. This is at Walt Disney World and at Disneyland. These will be debuting at Disneyland this week as well. So this is something that they are celebrating with coast to coast, the Sam Eagle bucket.
So, Rachel, I have something completely random and not Disney related that I'm going to tie in because you mentioned the Sam Eagle bucket. So, I have seen photos of this as well. And Sam has bunting in front of him there. I don't remember if it's on the podium or where exactly it is. Do you see a photo of
It's
him
on the
right now or
podium.
no?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's on the
So,
podium.
I recently learned while doing a little bit of 250th American research that there is proper protocol for bunting. Did you know this?
I did not know that.
Neither did I, and apparently almost nobody knows this. Like such a small percentage of Americans know this, and also whoever's making all the bunting, because now I've started taking note. So apparently, appropriate bunting is supposed to start with the blue field first, just like the blue field of the flag is always supposed to be at the top left if it's displayed.
Okay.
Whether the American flag, if it's displayed horizontally or vertically, the blue field with the stars should always be at the top left. The bunting should always start with blue bunting first, the color blue. Sam's is red. Sam's is
Mhm.
not procedurally correct here. So I think the people at Disney aren't aware of this protocol either. I heard it from somebody who is very patriotic and a military spouse, which is why they knew this information. I didn't believe it, so I looked it up on the internet. There are places to back this up. It's a real thing. But now we learned something new, and I have bunting on my house decorating it, and it's the wrong bunting. So I don't know if that makes me
Oh, no.
unpatriotic or what, but anyway, you have that information out there now, and I appreciate learning that because I think there's a lot about the history of our country and how things were intended to be that we just don't know anymore. So, a little
Yeah.
bit of an American tidbit for you there. In true Disney form, we do have some Americana merchandise available for the 250th. So, they had some baseball jerseys I saw that said 250 on the sleeve, a sweatshirt. I remember a purse or a bag. It seemed bigger than just a purse to me. It was like a bag, but more structured like a purse because it seemed pretty firm. But it's a big Mickey head, red, white, and blue stripes, and it had and stars with some little Mickey heads mixed in with the stars. So that was kind of cute. And of course, they had some sparkly red, white, and blue Mickey ears. So they did not miss the opportunity to sell some merch for the 250th anniversary either.
Of course not.
Naturally.
Yes.
There was also a little monorail toy. I think they've come out with some monorail toys. I've seen these before, maybe in the spring or at Easter time. I can't remember for
Mhm.
sure, but it's just like a tiny little monorail, like a handheld size toy that's decorated and it has like a red, white, and blue hat on the top of it. So that's a little something extra and silly
Yeah.
too. Maybe a new collector's thing they're going to be coming out with the line of. I'm not sure. I haven't really heard on that yet. So you touched a base on food a little bit there too. So there are a few holidays that I love to be home for. When I think of 4th of July, it's the family picnics. It's the time of the summer that you'll get to see family maybe you don't normally see any other time than like major holidays or funerals, right? So I love to be home for the 4th of July. I'd also love to be at a Disney park, that's for sure, or on a cruise. I've done that before too. A few years ago, I
Oh,
was in
that's
Bermuda
fun.
on the 4th of July. So like you just never know. It's not something I usually plan around. But if you are in the parks and you are wanting to feel extra American for the 4th of July, are there any places that come to mind for you where you would go grab a bite to eat?
Yes, and anything with barbecue, I would say,
Okay.
because that to me is 4th of July, getting barbecue. And I'm talking very traditional Southern barbecue. So Regal Eagle Smokehouse is going to be at the top of my list. Even if I was at Hollywood Studios, I would go to Roundup Rodeo and have some
Okay.
barbecue there too. That would be a fun little treat to have and avoid some of the crowds at Epcot or the Magic Kingdom. But yeah, Regal Eagle Smokehouse would be my number one, and getting banana pudding because 4th of July, I know there's a lot of foods associated with it, but and kind of Americana culture and banana pudding for me, I really associate with kind of the American culture. And
Okay.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
funny. I mean, obviously, we're both American, born and raised. You are thinking barbecue and bananas, and you mentioned strawberry things earlier. I think
Mhm.
when I think of 4th of July, I think hot dogs, burgers, and apple pie. So it's
Okay.
kind of funny, like different traditions. Maybe because you're in the South, I'm not sure, but maybe my family's just too lazy to make real barbecue on a big holiday like that. And it's easier to throw frozen burgers on the grill. I don't know. So really, I think any burger joint down there or Casey's Corner for hot dogs would be excellent stops. I know Whispering Canyon has an apple pie on their menu for dessert. So lots of options down
Yeah.
there. There are also some places over the fourth holiday where you can take in a little bit extra American, like the Hall of Presidents, especially if you'd like to get out of the hot and into the air
Yes.
conditioning.
Horrible heat.
They give some very informational facts. That's probably a silly like that. I can't come up with the words I'm trying to say right now, but it's a very historical, documented performance with the animatronics at the end. Again, this is not something that is a political thing at all. Every president that has ever served is represented with an animatronic, which when you sit there in that theater and you see all of them come to life, it is a pretty incredible thing. So Hall of Presidents there at the Magic Kingdom. And then we have the American Adventure show over in Epcot, as well as the Voices of Liberty. So the Voices of Liberty have really come to be one of my favorite things. about Epcot, right up there. And if I had to come up with three things, it would definitely be in the top three. I appreciate the incredible talent of the musicians that perform. I love seeing their different seasonal outfits, and I know they change their music up from time to time. So I'm certain that they'll have some special American music to perform for us for Voices of Liberty over the holiday. So I
Yeah, and
think that,
we cannot forget Soarin' Across America too now.
right.
That's also, a new attraction at Epcot for the time being, and as far as we know, it's temporary. We don't know how long it will be there, but, the fireworks at the end that they've done on every variation of this attraction, there will be fireworks, and this one does have patriotic fireworks, so that will be a very special one to go to if you haven't yet, not just on the 4th of July, but just in the season while it is there. That's another great way to celebrate while, you are there for this 4th of July season.
So let's wrap up 4th of July by talking strategy a little bit because I don't know if it's a really hot time of year. I know I would not want to be in the park from rope drop until those fireworks conclude at the end of the night. I don't think it's a holiday we really need to be too concerned with getting access to the park. Do you think that they reach capacity?
I think there was a time years ago when they would. I haven't heard that in the last several years, though. In fact, this year they did open up reservations for annual pass holders. Those are gone. So, annual pass
Okay.
holders, your
Right,
reservations are gone.
I
But
think
that's
some
unique.
passes were blocked out, right, for a couple years
Yes.
there, at least last year, maybe the year before, maybe some of the annual pass types were blocked out that may not be at this point. I don't I'm not a Florida resident, so I am not up on all of their pass options, but I think I did hear that the 4th is sold out for annual passes at
Yes.
this point.
That's not an uncommon thing for that to
Right.
happen throughout the year. I would say New Year's fireworks are probably much more
Yes,
popular
by
just
far,
because
right,
yeah, I mean that's a popular time to go. Plus, when the weather is 60 degrees outside, it's a lot more manageable to be in the park all day than when it's 97 degrees outside
right.
too. So I don't think they're as popular as they have been in years past, but I think that's more due to a trend in summer travel and not because well, just for
Right.
that clarification.
Right, absolutely. So I think what my strategy would be, if you really want to spend a lot of time in the Magic Kingdom that day, rope drop and then take an afternoon break, do some swimming, cool down and rest up, and then get back to the park at dinner time and enjoy those fireworks.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. And, honestly, I was thinking I would probably, between the two shows, I think I would be more interested in the one at Epcot. So you'd
mhm,
kind of have to be there. But I also think Epcot really has more viewing areas if it's just a fireworks show. You can spread the crowds out a bit more than you can at the Magic Kingdom. Everybody at the Magic
absolutely.
Kingdom wants the castle in the background.
Right,
Walt Disney World has kind of funneled people into that over the last couple of years because of projections. And I don't know if the show has projections or not. So but at least with Epcot, if it's just purely a fireworks show, you can spread out a little bit more. You have a little bit better vantage points at multiple locations of the park. However, I would love to watch it from the comfort of my hotel room personally. Open up the patio door and just watch it, but that would be difficult. There's only so many resorts that you can so
right.
I don't know,
And
maybe talk a
obviously,
couple.
updated room category too, if you want that theme
Yes.
park view. Right. So, and I think Spaceship Earth is typically patriotic with the red, white, and blue lighting that night also. And I believe following these fireworks, it will be. So
That'll be
that's
fun.
pretty
If
cool
you
too.
happen to be there, send us photos. We'd love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, send them in. We'd love to see them. All right. I think that wraps up 4th of July and the celebration and happy birthday to America. And
Yeah.
now let's get into more news because we have a whole lot of stuff happening. I feel like we just did our Cool Kids Summer chat and talked about different things happening this summer, but this is all stuff in addition to that, not Cool Kids related at all.
Mhm.
So let's talk about the first big thing. Toy Story 5. So Toy Story 5 is out in theaters now. Have you seen it yet, Rachel?
No, we have not seen it. Of course, my kids have been traveling some this summer, so we haven't had
Had the
much
chance
time,
yet?
yeah, as a family together lately.
So, and we have not either. We were away at the Jersey Shore all last week when it came out in theaters. We're hoping to go to the drive-in this weekend and see it
Oh,
actually. So, we are so fortunate to live in a rural area that has a few different drive-in options and this is a real drive-in. This isn't the sci-fi dine-in at Hollywood Studios. This is like you actually go park your car and turn on the radio and sit and watch a movie. I'm honestly kind of hoping I'm thinking if we don't get there this weekend, maybe we'll go after the new Minions movie comes out, and then we can do a double feature because they actually run 2. The trick to that is
Okay.
they can't start until, like, 9 p.m. because that's when it gets dark out, so you're out until around 2 a.m. by the time you get home, so
Wow,
not
that's
for
crazy.
not for the faint of heart there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a late night going to the drive-in, but I don't know. We haven't made our plan yet. I would love to see it. I know it's a hit. People have loved it. The Taylor Swift song I've heard 1,000 times so far. It is so catchy. I love it. If you haven't heard it, it's called I Knew It, I Knew You. It's super cute. It is not depressing at all. I was worried it was going to be like the one from, was it Toy Story 2, Jesse song that, oh my
Yes,
goodness,
yeah.
you can't hear
Sarah
that song without
McLachlan,
crying.
taking it, yeah, taking
Yes.
it that for sure.
Hmm.
Yep, yep. Mhm.
So we do have some Toy Story things happening down at the parks. We have that at the Diamond Horseshoe Saloon in the Magic Kingdom. There's like a dance party happening. I think the characters switch out. It could be Bullseye, it could be Jesse or Woody at different times. It's not something that's a scheduled start time for shows. It's just an ongoing dance party type thing. I think it runs until about 6 o'clock each night, throughout the day at Magic Kingdom. It's air conditioned. Go in there and cool down if you need to. Let the kids get some wiggles out if they need it. So that seems like a lot of fun. And I think they've
Yeah.
got some Toy Story snacks in the park also. I know over at Anti Gravity's Galactic Goodies, they have some beverages. There's a Zerg shake, and there was a float, a Space Ranger float that they had there. So Toy Story represented in other areas besides just Toy Story Land over there at Hollywood Studios. So that is a lot of fun.
Yeah, even, Amaret's Patisserie has a Yodelay Hee Hoo cheesecake, which is a pretty cute play on that, and then there's a Lily Pad lunch box tart at Woody's Lunchbox, so I know that the technology is kind of the villain of the film, and, so
Yeah.
Disney getting into that. And I want to mention too, so this is something that they are taking across Disney parks around the world. This will be, they're having things at Hong Kong Disneyland, at Disneyland Paris, be things going on throughout the world to celebrate, and even at Tokyo Disney Resort too, to celebrate this new film, which is so surprising. Toy Story 5. We are
It
5 films
sounds
into
like
this
a
franchise.
lot. It sounds like
Yeah,
so many Toy Stories, but when you consider the first one came out in 1995, I mean, they're
which
spacing
is
them out.
insane. It's just
It
insane. I mean,
is.
it really feels like it was 10 years ago.
That's true. And I was old enough when Toy Story came out. I thought I was a grown up. I was a freshman in high school that year. Like I was a little too old for it. I didn't really get into watching Toy Story until I had my own children. And now it's like, wow, some of them you just walk out of the theater crying, just
Yeah.
realizing how quickly time passes and what a sweet and sentimental story the Toy Stories movies tell. And I'm super excited to see the next one. So, but moving beyond summer, we got some holiday announcements. Now, we will have a future holiday episode, so we will not touch base on these too detailed, just real quick. So, we've been told the holiday season comes to Walt Disney World November 13th to January 6th this year, with Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party starting a couple days before that. That's November 8th, running through the 22nd on select nights. And Jollywood Nights is returning over at Hollywood Studios. The last several years, that's been a very popular event. That returns November 7th through January 5th over at Hollywood Studios. Now, these are separately ticketed events as usual. You can get in at 4 p.m. the day of. I believe the event starts at 7 p.m. each day. They are giving Disney World Resort guests a little bit of advantage on getting these tickets. Now, some of these dates do sell out and they sell out pretty quickly. So, this is one time that having the benefit of staying at a Disney resort can really help you out. The ticket sales for both party tickets start on July 9th. If you're staying at a Walt Disney World Resort Collection Hotel, at the Disney World Swan or Dolphin Hotel, including Swan Reserve, I believe, and then Shades of Green also is included. If you are not staying at one of those hotels, if you're off property somewhere, July 16th is the general sale date for those tickets. So, again, we'll have a lot more holiday info coming in future episodes, but wanted to mention that because that is new news this week.
Yeah, that is new news, and that's exciting news. I always love when Disney starts doing their announcements for their holidays and festivals, and it really just seems like we very recently got all the announcements for, or a lot of the announcements for the Halloween and fall
Halloween.
festivities, and now we're back. Now we're getting into Christmas. So Christmas in July is coming up, and Walt Disney World knows that. And they play on that, and it is exciting. It's one of my favorite times of year to visit. I know it's also one of your favorite times of year to visit because it truly is just magical at Walt Disney World.
It really messes with me. They really mess with me down there, Rachel, because the other day I was thinking, I don't think we need to go this December. It's not necessary to go every December. And, we are usually able to sneak down just for a couple days. It's so tough with the kids' schedules. And I had myself convinced that it wasn't necessary to go. They made those announcements, and there was a little reel put out. I think it was on the Walt Disney World Facebook, and it was of the Dapper Dans. I heard about a second and a half of them singing, I don't know, maybe it was Jingle Bells. I can't even tell you what the song was at this point. And I was right there. I was like, I need to go. I need to get there. How can I make it happen? It's not financially feasible all the time, but I'm one of
Yeah.
those people that'll watch for like the really cheap flights, and we can pack very light and let's just get there as we can. So I don't know. Time will tell on that. At one point, several episodes ago, I said I wasn't going to make it down to Disney World this summer. And now, lo and behold, there's a tiny little Disney World resort stay prior to a cruise planned. So
Oh,
I'll keep my fingers
okay, well,
crossed and my budgeting in check, and we'll see what happens there. But yes, the holidays are so special there, and we'll chat about that in a future episode. So, for the rest of today's episode, we have our own lists of things that we have noted. Rachel and I both independently worked on this, just things that we wanted to talk about, and like, hey, did you hear about this or did you hear about that? Because it seems like there's a lot of info coming out these days. So, one
yes.
thing
Yeah, the Disney rapid fired some information, just a
they did.
few days ago, and so there's a lot to for even us just to catch up on. So this is what we're doing for today's episode.
So, one thing that we didn't really talk about yet, and I don't think we mentioned it all recording yet, is the update coming to the Carousel of Progress. We may have talked about it, but I was so distraught I don't remember if we did, because
I don't
this
remember either.
this one hit me hard, and I don't know why, because I'll be honest, I don't always go there. I often go there when we're there, but it's not something that if I walk into the Magic Kingdom and don't do it, I'll feel like my trip's not complete. It's not the kind of thing that we plan on absolutely having to do. If I'm over in Frontierland towards the end of the day and I'm tired, I'm not going to trek over there to Tomorrowland just to do that.
Yeah.
But I do love it. And I could remember it as being one of the most impressive and memorable experiences to me of my first Disney World trip back in 2001. And I think it's the nostalgia factor that's getting me about it. So if you haven't heard, Disney recently announced that they are closing Carousel of Progress effective July 5th. So July 5th is the last day you will see it. It is getting a complete refurb and will reopen next year, totally different. The same type of ride, the same, we're still progressing through history and then going into the future, but we're dealing with different time frames. It's no longer turn of the century. We're not starting at the early 1900s and moving through. We are starting in is it the 60s,
The
Rachel?
60s, yeah, and I think that's what's I agree. I enjoy the attraction, I appreciate the attraction. I don't know that all 3 of my children have even seen it, and
Mm.
had this been announced prior I took a trip last month, had this been announced before our trip, we would have definitely gone to see it, but I wish they would have kept some 2 of the old scenes maybe. I understand wanting to it's the Carousel of Progress, and the scene that's supposed to be modern day is pretty outdated at this point,
Right.
and it's comical to see. And this was not obviously the original ending scene because this debuted 30 years before the original
Right, right. Oh, there
current
had
ending
definitely been
scene.
updates over time,
Yes,
certainly,
there
and that makes sense. I get
yes,
that entirely, and I do understand that it needs to be refurbished. I would
right.
love if they would save some of the things to do some type of display or something somewhere, because those are things you can't really duplicate anymore, and I love that younger kids could see how things used to be. I loved
Yeah,
that aspect of it. I feel like the 60s, I mean, I guess it's going back far enough, because considering the first time I saw it was 2001, when you do the math on that, the 60s are about as far back. It's like
I
it's
I
a
mean, that's 60 years at this point,
right.
this yeah, so and that's true, I
What?
just But it really is it really is amazing to watch the progression from the turn of the century, and Meet Me in St. Louis is one of my favorite movies. Watched that so many times as a kid and as a teenager, and that's what it makes me think of. It makes me think of being in,
I've never
the
seen that.
living
I
room.
I don't know
You've
what
never
you're talking
seen
about.
that? Okay, well, it's a musical, it's a Judy Garland film, but,
I know
just
of it, but I'm not familiar with it.
yeah, turn of the century, World's Fair's coming, and there's just something special and unique about that time period, and I guess really kind of the hope and the vision of the future and what the future would look
Mhm.
like, and so I think seeing that progress, and I really I think that was the most heartbreaking of it. You can't have it stay the same for forever, but this was really one of the last attractions that Walt had his hands in, and, now it's just being completely changed, and we knew that the Walt Disney scene was coming,
Right, so
and there was a lot of speculation about where that would be, and now it makes sense. We're just gonna get the whole thing and put it
and
in
that I
there.
think is very exciting news. I love that we're getting the Walt Disney animatronic. I kind of would have liked if they would have just put it in the theater like they did out at Disneyland, but
Mhm.
that being said, it does make it kinda special that it's actually in a ride that he made himself.
Yeah,
And even though things are changing, we know that he has said more than once that things are supposed to change. We're always supposed to be changing and growing and progressing, and that's what happens. It's the human way, and it's how
yes.
life works. So I'm okay with that. And as I was reading this announcement, I will admit I was like a little hesitant, but I was okay with it because I knew that it was due until I saw the closure date. Because as I'm reading this, I was thinking through my head, gonna have to get there, gonna have to get down there because usually we have announcements and it's okay. At least in recent months, with Rock and Roller Coaster, we knew ages ahead that it was going to happen. Maybe that's a bigger deal to more people. So that got an earlier announcement. Maybe they considered the fact that they told us Walt was being added as we should know it's going to be closing. But
Yeah,
I really would have liked to get one more ride on it. I believe the
right.
last time I had the opportunity to ride it was last July. I do remember being on it and even where I sat in the theater and the fact that I had brought along a Mickey cookie with me that I had purchased before I went in there and snacked on it, even though you're not really supposed to eat in the theater, I don't think. So it's not like I don't have a last experience memory because it is the type of attraction that I do remember and appreciate, like I said. But when I heard it was that soon, that's what kind of crushed me on it. So regardless, we'll be ready for it.
Yeah,
Excited to see whatever the changes may be, and excited to see Walt being added, and we'll just keep moving
yeah.
forward. See what
This is
happens.
what Disney did to us with the Great Movie Ride closure. They announced that closure very fast.
Yes, yes, they
And,
did.
yeah, and that was out, kind of out of left field. So this is exactly what they did to us because I was at the parks a month and a half before the last day of this, I don't know, era of the Carousel of Progress. So, and had no idea. And I think they announced it like the week after I got home. So that was very sad.
So you're like,
And
what?
I really would have gone on it just, and it's pure nostalgia. But I think there's something, if you've been a Walt Disney World fan for a long time, I do think there is a pull for wanting to have just some touches from the originality of
Mhm.
the parks remaining in. And so, call me a purist, but there are things that just don't need to be touched. And so I thought Carousel Progress and
Was one of
excluding
them.
the final scene was one of
We
them.
do not want progress with the carousel of progress. What is this?
Want to see the progression, but, not from things that, that come from my parents' generation, I guess.
So real quick before moving on, what we do know so far, yes, Walt will be a part of this experience with an animatronic, which is very cool. And the scenes will include, I believe, the moon landing, Halloween in 1985, which I think is a pretty random and interesting, yet I could remember that specific day in my life. So I was like, well, that's kind of cool because when I feel like kids in the 80s, Halloween was a huge deal. And
Yeah.
we didn't have decorations and orange lights on houses all over the place like we did now. We had homemade costumes,
Or
and
the plastic ones,
the rich kids had the plastic masks
yeah.
that they couldn't breathe in, but they were the kids to me who had the money because we always had the homemade costume. I endlessly would try to think of a costume that would be so cool and amazing. I never did. I was basically a princess or a cat every year, from what I can remember. But anyway, that's pretty cool. I guess if I had to pick something from the 80s that almost everyone could relate to, that would be it. Then we jump forward to the millennium, 1999, New Year's 1999. Again, a day I remember that was not really that momentous in my life, but okay. And then the future, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
And I hope there are Y2K jokes because if you lived through that transition, you knew Y2K
what's a
was.
Y2K, right? Like, what even is?
So that was a huge deal when when we changed from 1999 to 2000. But yeah, and I do think that's a smart play with the Halloween and everything, throwing back to just our childhood and our nostalgic memories. But it will be sad to see some of those things go. And I did see a post recently. It wasn't through Disney, it was through an influencer talking about some of the hidden nods in Carousel of Progress that were already
Oh,
in there that I had no idea about. And it was really, I loved it. It was really neat and really interesting, some of the things that are packed in there. So I do hope we see some Easter eggs in this new one too of this show as it is currently.
okay. Well, that'll be fun to experience and try to watch and
Yeah.
see what other people see. And we'll talk about that certainly 100% when that attraction
Yes.
reopens next year. Rachel and I will be here to talk about it. All right. So I have just a list of random things that I remember changing recently or being announced recently. So I guess I will just start chatting with Rachel about them like we usually
Okay.
do.
Yeah.
And you can share your thoughts on it, Rachel, and we can just kind of talk through some upcoming happenings. So I'm just going to jump out to Disneyland for just one topic here, and that is the lightsaber experience that they have recently updated. So Savvy's Workshop, which opened back when Galaxy's Edge opened, is the experience where you can create your own lightsaber and you go in and you build it. And it's a very immersive experience. It takes about 30 minutes to complete from start to end. And it's pretty pricey. I think it started at around at $199 when it was brand new, and it's up to $275 now, which is very expensive.
Yes. Very expensive.
Have you ever participated in this?
No. When it first came out, it wasn't really something that appealed to
Okay.
me. I watched the Star Wars films growing up, kind of lost interest in the franchise over the last several years, especially with the newer films. One of them just kind of ruined the franchise for me. But, anyways, so no,
Okay,
not
then.
something I was super interested in. But now that I have children, there were a couple of years that every single trip we would get one of the lightsabers at the shop at the end of Star Tours, and
Okay.
we have quite the collection. And they like to hold every once in a while. We'll turn out all the lights in the house at night and have a huge lightsaber battle between all five of us. Uh,
That's hilarious. The things you learn when you chat with your friend for the world to hear. I've never heard you mention that before, so I did not know that your
we
house did that.
we turn on music from the films on our Bluetooth speakers,
Stop
and
it. You guys are such nerds. I had no idea.
yeah, so but, my kids have seen people carrying them around because
Mhm.
they have a nice little bag and everything, and they've asked about doing them before, and I've told them, and I'm not opposed to it, but man, it's expensive. That is
Yes.
expensive, and it'd be something that all 3 would have to do at the same time, and my youngest at 3 years old, I just don't see the point in it at the moment, so I told them, "We will do it someday, but that's a lot of money," and I remember reservations were a big deal to get for a
Mhm.
long
When it
time.
was new. Yep.
Yeah,
Well, we
yeah.
started seeing some changes in Galaxy's Edge recently anyway. And so I am opposite of Rachel. I am not somebody who grew up watching Star Wars. I can remember when I was a teenager, my younger cousins wanted to see one of the movies that was in theaters at the time. I would guess this was sometime in the late 90s. So I don't know if that helps you think of what movie it would be. I don't remember it at all. I just remember that I drove them to the theater and I sat there through it, and I was not a huge fan. Fast forward to when my kids were tweens and The Force Awakens came out. And then we were all into it. And of course, it was movie after movie after movie. And then Galaxy's Edge opened, and we were there for it. We did an annual pass preview that August when Galaxy's Edge did the soft opening before the official opening. I love The Force Awakens, and I thought it was a really good movie. It was a movie I could watch with no knowledge of Star Wars
Yeah.
whatsoever and still follow along the movie. It wasn't confusing to me because the timeline just is beyond my comprehension, really. Like, people are like, watch this one, it's number 7, but then watch like what, 4, 5, 6, but then watch 1, 2, 3, but then
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, you guys. It lost me along the way somewhere. I don't know. And I have not really done anything Star Wars in several years other than walking through Galaxy's Edge, but we absolutely built lightsabers. So I believe it was March of 2020, just before the parks closed for a while. And we did our lightsabers then. We were down there with some friends. So we had 4 kids experiencing it at
Oh,
the same time. I believe back then it was $199 each, and it was something my kids saved their money for, birthday
yeah.
money, Christmas money, allowance, that type of thing to be able to pay for. And it was a really, really cool experience. So I loved it, but it's the kind of thing you do and then you're done. You're not getting a ton of people who are going to return and do this on each trip. And the higher the price goes, the less people you're going to have doing it, which leads us finally, after minutes and minutes of talking about this, to what the actual news is. Sorry. Thanks for hanging in with us. If you're still listening to me babble about Star Wars: The Galaxy's Edge. So, this new experience in Disneyland is they have a free experience that you could go in. It's walk up only, no reservations. They run it right now from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That you can go in and do the same lightsaber building experience and do the whole building it and all of the stuff that comes along with it. But you don't get to keep the lightsaber at the end. It stays there. Now, you do have the option to buy it. I don't know if this is a marketing genius idea or if it's a little underhanded and sneaky, Disney, because who's going to take their kid in there and do this whole amazing thing building this and then say you have to leave it behind? It's not really yours now. You have the option to pay the money for it at the end, but it is, as far as I know, they've said it's the same price. So, of
Yeah.
course, we could see changes on that at any time. Now, they do recommend this for kids ages 3 to 9, but they say younglings of any age are able to go in there and participate if you want. They do still have the regular scheduled hours. It looks to me like that's like a noon to 9 p.m. time type thing most days. So it is kind of overlapping with the people who aren't keeping them, which could also lead to confusion. If you have some people in there who are building to keep them and others who aren't, and your kids see people walking out with them, I mean, sneaky move. What are your thoughts on this, Rachel?
Yes, I agree with that, and I was just thinking, if I did this for all 3 of my kids, we'd be looking at almost
Yeah,
$900.
that's nuts.
That is insane. That is absolutely insane, and
That would be one expensive night at your house with your lights
well, and
because
that
you
would be
think
one
you
I'm
can
like, "You
buy 3.
cannot play with those. These
Yeah,
are
you
not
know
toys."
your husband wants one too, Rachel. You're gonna have to
Yeah,
buy
he
4
well, that's
of them.
it, like, I'm sure he would be designing the one for the youngest child to be, like, really his. But, yeah, that would be a very, very expensive and, we're just my kids are just not they're aware of Star Wars, they really
They're
enjoy the
not there yet.
attractions here, but, man, they're just not that into it to justify doing that, but that would have to be yeah, you're saving money for a couple of years because that's I can't just wrap
Mhm.
my head I mean, $900 for an experience for 3 children for a
Right,
30-minute
for
experience.
30-minute experience. Now, I
Yeah,
will say, the lightsabers, as far as the ones we have now, it's been 6 years, so the quality may have changed. I have not heard of it changing, but the ones that we have are very solid, and my kids have really whacked them on things, and my husband, he was testing them out. I'm like, "Don't you test that too far, because if you break that thing, no souvenirs for you for a long
yeah,
time if you
yeah,
can't take
I don't
care of
think we
your
can
toys."
email
But
Disney and ask for a new one.
right. So, okay. Now, I don't know if that will ever come to Disney World. I would rather just see them lower the price and make it
Yeah.
reachable for more people to experience the way it's intended and make it more affordable, but we'll see how this
Yes.
goes. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of affordable experiences, the day that this episode airs, Level 99 will be opening at Disney Springs. So, this is in the former NBA Experience and Disney Quest venue. This is a 46,000 square foot venue that will house 63 physical and mental life sized mini games. Now, this is
say that in
right
words
up.
I understand, Rachel. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know anything about this.
Okay.
What is
Oh,
a mini game? What are
a
what are you
mini game.
talking?
Okay, well, did you ever go to Disney Quest?
I did. Yes, it
Okay,
was silly.
okay, I d well, we love Disney
I
Quest,
was
we did.
like, "You
We were
guys,
very
there's a real Jungle Cruise. Why are you guys pretending to be on this raft boat over there with these goggles on your heads?" I didn't get it. And I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of other people also didn't get it, which is why it's not there anymore. Now, I'm
Well,
sure
yes, yeah, and
some
so
love it.
Level
I
99
love
is
you if you love
not
it.
this seems like something that would absolutely be designed for my family, however, it is recommended for kids 11 and up just because younger
Okay.
kids may have some difficulty completing some of the physical challenges or the mental challenges.
Physical
Um
challenges. Is this Double Dare? Because I would be there for that. Is there
Okay,
gonna
so
be slime?
let me give you an idea. Here's one of the games that will be there. It's called Ninja Swing. So these games are designed to last between 1 to 4 minutes and for 2 to 6 players, okay? So Ninja Swing, so players can test their strength and precision by using ropes to navigate across a series of platforms. And so
Is
you
this
will earn
real or is this
yeah,
virtual reality?
it's
Like,
not
so
virtual
this is like
reality. It is
Wipeout.
real.
You're, like, on an
Yes.
obstacle course.
Yes, you are on
Okay.
course, and so there's different rooms that you scan into. You're giving what's called a velo band at entry, and that will allow you to scan in and also keep track of your progress of how well you do. From what I understand, they keep that progress on record. So if you come back and visit, maybe you're a local and you want to come back at another time, you can kind of pick up where you left off. But you can play the games as many times as you want within your allotted time. And so you're trying to get your entire team across this obstacle course without falling. And
Huh.
I'm going to guess these platforms are not very high off the ground because of safety reasons. But,
Right.
yeah, so and then another one would be a logic puzzle, kind of like it's called
Like an
Mansion
escape room?
Banquet. It's what?
Is it like an escape room puzzle
Kind of
type
like
thing?
an escape it's I mean, it's kind of like an escape room light, except for you're just trying to complete the challenge and not trying
Okay.
to
You're not locked in a room.
you're not locked in a room, which I think would be really fun. Can we have a haunted mansion escape room, please? But
That would be kind of amazing, and no one tries to get out ever,
yeah,
and you're like,
exactly. I'm
"Guys,
not
I
leaving
can't
this place.
leave.
I'm just
I
hanging
cannot
out.
complete the challenge."
To the stage room. But there's one that you play you're hosting a dinner party and you're trying to figure out what to serve each guest and their own individual meal. So you'll have to use logic puzzles to figure that out. So
Huh.
there's all sorts of different games like that. There'll be 63 of these. Tickets start at $29.99 per person. And you can schedule a 1.5 hour or a 2.5 hour time slot in order to
Huh.
enjoy these games. So I think that's probably more affordable than a lot of other experiences, even though it's not a super long time. Other level 99s throughout the country offer even all day passes, but not at Disney Springs. They're not offering that, at least as of right now. There's also going to be a 2-story bar inside with craft cocktails, craft beers, and made from scratch food offerings too. So this is something that I think we'll be visiting in the future if it's I hate to say this, if it stays open long
If it's
enough.
there long enough to get there. I know, I feel like we've seen such a turnover with that space, but maybe this is it. It sounds pretty cool. I'd be
Yeah.
willing to go check it out,
Yeah,
see what it's like.
absolutely. So let's yeah, let's see if we can make the ninja swing happen and get across together.
So, speaking of Disney Springs, we have a new policy that is in place there with transportation. There's kind of been an uproar, some confusion over this. We think we have a pretty good understanding at this point of what it's going to be. So, apparently, the issue was that people would drive to Disney Springs and park there in one of their garages, which is available free of charge. You can visit Disney Springs, park there, and get into Disney Springs, no admission required. So free for anyone. You just pay for whatever you do when you are there, like food and merchandise and what is it, level 99.
Level 9,
But
yeah.
Splitsville, lots of things to do there. Anyway, but apparently there are people who would park there and then use Disney's transportation, whether it be their buses or their boats, to get to other resorts or to the theme parks to visit the parks with no parking fee. Because if you park at one of Disney's parks, you're paying a fee. So Disney has now started requiring that in order to use their transportation, you're going to have to show that you are a guest of a Walt Disney World Resort hotel. This goes for the buses and for the boats. I did see some people concerned with saying they really need to get to French Quarter for beignets. I think that's a common reason for people to ride the boats, even if they're not staying there. I've certainly done that before. So we have been told, rest assured, if you have a resort reservation, if you're staying at a Disney hotel, you are able to get there on the boat still. You just have to show that you're a Disney resort guest. You don't have to be a guest at French Quarter, for example, to go there. But otherwise, you will not be able to. So I appreciate they are locking down some things a little bit, being a little more secure with things, giving the resort benefits to people who are resort guests. So have you heard anything else on that, Rachel?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people who are upset over it. I really think it all boils down to safety. Disney is trying to keep guests safe, and they do. I mean, if you have a magic band or something on your, they really can track where you are and where you're going. But I think it comes down to a safety issue. Also, I'll say this. This just popped into my head. I think this probably went away before you started visiting the parks, but there was a time if you were staying on a resort line a monorail line resort, and you wanted to take the resort monorail from the Magic Kingdom, you had to show your room key in order to get in line.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
and
that makes
that's
sense
very
too.
yeah, and I would say I don't stay on the monorail loop a whole lot anymore, and I have used the monorail loop. It's a fun way if
Yeah.
you don't have a lot of part time just to have something to do with the kids or to get around. But at the end of the day, it's a long line. If you're staying at Polynesian and you can't walk
Uh-huh.
there, I've chosen to walk when staying at the Contemporary or the Grand Floridian as opposed to just waiting in that really long line because people are trying to get there or go to the Ticket Transportation Center, use the Resort Line monorail to go there instead. So, maybe this is just the beginning of bringing something like that back where it is an
No,
actual
you
tour.
bite your tongue. That's ridiculous. That would be terrible, and that won't work anymore, and I'll tell you why. Whether you like it or not, Rachel, take that back. Because they have made the resorts destinations for everybody, not just
Yeah.
resort guests
Yes.
with their dining. So it simply won't work at this point to do it that way. I could see why it probably used to be that way, but I also understand why it works the way it does now because you can't encourage people to go to Ohana from the Magic Kingdom and not have a way for them to get there. You
True,
know
and
what I
I
mean?
think yeah, and I think that's a valid point. Maybe just at park closing, check the check
Yeah.
the keys to see the people can get back to
Well,
the
you
resort quick.
can technically walk to all of them now if you would like to
I
also.
guess, yeah, it'd be a really long walk to the Polynesian if you
It
wanted to do
would,
that.
but
You
it's
could.
doable. I've done it. It can happen.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it is quite a walk, and I would not wanna do it at the end of the day, that's for sure. You
Yeah.
also have more guests staying at those hotels overall, I think, than you used to anyway,
Yeah.
because we've got some new towers that are up that I believe have a much higher occupancy rate than what we originally had back when the parks and monorail system were built. So
Yeah.
yeah, you bite your tongue on that. We're not gonna bring that policy back, but the one at Disney Springs is newly implemented and is here, at least for now. So if we
Yep.
hear any changes or updates on that, we'll let you know. Something else over there in the Magic Kingdom area worth mentioning is Lakeshore Lodge construction continuing. I think I may have called it a monstrosity here before. I'm
It's
still calling it
massive.
that.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be gorgeous when it's finished. It has definitely taken away the exclusive feel of Wilderness Lodge. You know, you could be out there on the one side of the resort and kind of actually feel like you're in the wilderness. Not so much anymore.
Yeah.
It is scheduled to open in the summer of 2027, and I will say, have you seen the concept art for the wetlands outdoor area? It looks incredible. I'm
It does
sure
look
they'll be
incredible.
checking ID there. There's no
Yeah.
way they're not checking ID
Yeah.
there because everyone will be going there. It looks like a water park within itself.
Yes. Yeah. Now, when you say a monstrosity, this will have
Yeah. Uh-huh.
967 rooms. So yes, this will be massive. And and I have not obviously it's a construction site, been around the property, but I know when I took my fireworks cruise, they did take the boat close to it and
Uh-huh.
pointed out a lot of things to us. But there will also be 1 and 2 bedroom lake houses along the waterfront.
Mhm.
I
Those are like those little A-frame. They look like little
yes.
triangles across
Yeah.
the water. When they were first being built, we're like, "What are they doing over there?" But that's what it'll be, kinda like
Yeah.
the bungalows at the Polynesian and the cabins, the Cascade cabins over at Wilderness Lodge. That'll be
Yeah.
the option over there at Lakeshore Lodge, yeah.
Yeah, but this wetlands area, it's inspired by Disney's film Pocahontas, and there will be wet and dry play areas there. There will be Heron Shores, which will be an imaginative climbing feature area, and then Otter Springs will have water features for little ones. They can splash around. It looks like a really neat splash pad. There's supposed to be a slide there too. What caught my eye was Daydream River, and I'm sure that would probably catch your eye too. The
That's the
what?
lazy river, I'm assuming. I
Yes.
didn't pay
Yep.
attention to the names, but I saw there's a lazy river and a zero entry pool. There's
Yeah.
some kind of climbing area. And then there's also, they announced info on a new pool over on the other side of the resort, which is, let me see, I had it noted here, Perspective Pond,
Mhm.
which they say is a leisure pool in a whirlpool spa, which is their word for hot tub. Now, I hope since they mentioned this whirlpool spa that it's going to be a big one. Like, I hope it's not a little like eight
Yeah.
people because they often don't even mention that they exist, right, when they're smaller ones, but hopefully this
Yes.
is something of a significant size, and it said it's perfectly positioned for views of Magic Kingdom fireworks in the evening, so that'll
Yes.
be pretty nice.
When I read that, I thought of you because of the whirlpool, and but then I
Yeah,
thought,
because I'll be in it. I'll stay there
yeah, I
just to
know this
try
is
it out, to be thorough.
but then I thought this might be a pretty crowded area at night. If you can see the fire, if you could sit in a hot tub and watch fireworks, night made, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure. That's how I
Yes.
wanna end the night. Yes, absolutely. So speaking of resorts in that area, this isn't news Disney posted about, but this is news that if you've been on social media, you had to have seen at this point if you follow some Disney fan pages. But my beloved Wilderness Lodge has been very warm for the last week or so. So we're recording this the end of June, right? What is this day? It
Yes.
is June
It'll
24th
be the
right
end
now.
of June. It will be debuting when June is still
Right.
happening. Yes, it is the end of June.
So it has been nearly a week now. I think it was last Thursday I started seeing reports on this. I'm not entirely sure because, again, it's not something I researched. It's not something Disney official, but the air conditioning at Wilderness Lodge has not been working. And I don't know what the problem is. It must be some major part or component that is just not readily available. I don't know if they had to have it made for them or if it was shipping from somewhere far away, but those poor guests there have not had air conditioning. Now, Disney, you know, Disney, they're great with working the best they can around everything. They have brought in some temporary units that have gotten things cooled down in the meantime. This is not a permanent fix, but it has been a temporary fix. So the guest rooms were able to be kept to a cooler temperature. I've heard the common areas, the lobby has still been pretty warm, which is not
Yeah.
surprising. It's ginormous. I mean, I would
Yes.
think even once it is up and running appropriately, it's going to take a few days for that poor system to get running
Yeah,
again.
and I thought about the poor cast members because they were
Yes.
going to have some cast members stationed there, those poor cast members. Maybe and it's 95 degrees there this week. It is miserably hot. The building itself, that lobby, at least there's even though there's huge windows, I don't think really a lot of direct sunlight gets into there, so maybe that's helping some.
Maybe.
Maybe they have the doors open, I know, just like a half a degree, but, and maybe have the doors open to get some cross breeze going, but yes, it is miserable there, and I did hear, which yes, Walt Disney World is doing what it can to take care of their guests. I don't know anybody staying there right now, but I did see on some social media things like box fans were initially offered, and I could
Mhm.
just could you like, no, and I'm
And they
not
were
saying
moving people
anything.
too. So I
Yes,
saw
they
that they were
yeah,
giving people full refunds and
yeah,
offering to move them either to Art of Animation or to Coronado Springs. Of course, has to be somewhere large and with availability when you're talking about a giant lodge like that. And it is the entire main lodge building. So this was Wilderness Lodge and the Copper Creek Villas are all housed in that main building. From what I understand, Boulder Ridge villas have been fine. And of
okay.
course, the Cascade cabins were fine because they all have individual units
Mm.
on them. But the morning we're recording this, I did see somebody post last night that starting at 7 a.m. today, all of the air was going to be off and they were going to be correcting it. Even Whispering Canyon and restaurants, some of the restaurants there, like Whispering Canyon, are closed this morning. Dining reservations have been canceled. Obviously, they just couldn't keep up with it during the time that they know it was going to be down. But it's
Yeah.
necessary to have this planned outage so that they can get things up and running again. So, if you were there, we'd like to hear your experience. I hope that it wasn't terrible for you. I know this must be very disappointing. Just last week, I was with my family for a week down at the Jersey Shore. And when we arrived at the beach house we rented, the air conditioning on the first floor was broken.
Oh, no.
And it was over 80 degrees in there and it was so hot and miserable. And just saying it, it doesn't sound that bad. It was just so hot. And when you're trying to move things in, you know, when you rent a place like that on the island that we go to, it's a lot of individually owned homes and you bring your own sheets and blankets and linens and towels and everything. So we're hauling all of this stuff and food into the house and it's so hot. Luckily, my husband himself fixed the unit that night because
Oh, wow.
it was terrible. And you know, the service that they were going to have come out didn't show up that day, and then it was going to be Sunday morning they were coming. And of course, we didn't just want anybody coming in to fix it with all of our stuff all over the place. So it was like a whole thing. So I understand how that could just be so frustrating. And when you plan for a vacation and you're spending the money like you are at Disney's Wilderness Lodge, you really expect deluxe accommodations. So certainly Disney is getting on top of this the best that they can. But unfortunate situation, and hopefully it will be resolved as of today and will be ancient history soon. So
Yes, and my heart goes out to all the cast members working on there, working on the air
yeah.
conditioning units, stationing the lobby because it's going to be a hot one. And if you,
Uh-huh.
especially Wilderness Lodge, it seems like the cast members who work there love Wilderness Lodge. They really love the place where they
Yes,
work for good
absolutely.
reason. So
Yes.
Keeping kind of a wilderness theme, Saratoga
Uh-huh.
Springs did announce that the tree houses are getting reimagined. So I have never stayed at one of the treehouse villas. I have always wanted to stay at one of the treehouse villas, and these would be perfect for my family, especially when we travel with my parents. You sleep up to 9 guests and have 3 bedrooms, but really, it's just kind of looks like a decor change. Refreshing
Uh-huh.
some things, which probably needed that, but they're adding some character nods from The Fox and the Hound, Sleeping Beauty, and Cinderella. So it'd be a refresh overall. The layout does not seem to be changing. The concept art still shows a sleeper sofa in the living area. I would love to have seen a Murphy bed go in, but I don't know how you do that with the shape of the treehouse
Right.
itself.
These are a
But
very unique shape, yeah, and I
yes,
would imagine it's difficult to work with designing what you put into that space because you are so limited with this with the design
yes,
of the rooms.
yes. I did notice one thing though that would make it more appealing for a family like mine, and that is there is a room that does have bunk beds. And for a while they
Mhm.
were just the bunk beds only, but it looks like they are putting in a single Murphy bed into that room, kind of what they have at a lot of these other villas where you have the single Murphy bed in the living area, like at like at the other Saratoga Springs villas and the
Yeah,
1 and 2 bedroom options where you just kind of have that cabinet and there's a single pull down bed, but that is going into the bunk room with the bunk. So the bunk room can now sleep 3. And for me, that having 3 kids, that's perfect for us to be able to put
that
all 3
is
kids in a
ideal,
room. Yeah.
because that would give you, so there's the 2 other bedrooms that I think it's a queen in one and a king in the other. It's been probably 10, 11 years since I stayed in one, so it's been quite a while. I don't
Yeah.
think they've gotten a real refurb since then. I have not seen photos of this, but I remember that bunk room as being so small, so I'll have to go take a look online and see how they're fitting that fold down in there because I wouldn't have thought there'd be room for it, so that's
Yeah,
great if there is.
I think it will make it tight, but, with the cabinets, it does fold up at least pretty compactly, and then you just pulled the bed down. But yeah, this would be wonderful if you don't need that living area for a bed because then you can just leave it made up as a couch the whole time and
Well, I misunderstood you. Are you saying that the fold down is in the living room, not in the bunk
no,
room?
no, no, it's in the bunk room. It is in the bunk room, but
Okay.
they did not have the fold down in that. There's a sleeper sofa. It looks like the
Right.
sleeper sofa is staying, but, I
Okay.
believe I could be wrong here. I believe it was a twin sleeper chair in the living room. I
So
don't
there were
know.
2 things. There was a sleeper sofa to sleep
Uh-huh.
2, and then there was a sleeper chair in the one that
Yes.
I stayed in 10 years ago. That's how it was laid out
Okay.
in the living room. So 3 could sleep
Yeah.
in the living room, I think. The
Yes.
last I looked at it, it's been a while. So, all
So
right, well,
the
it's
so
nice
I'm
that that's
guessing
getting a refresh.
they're taking out the chair and putting that into the bunk room as a,
Okay.
single Murphy. So, but I think that works out well, especially, my kids who don't want to be separated, they want to stay up and talk
Right.
and things like that at night. That makes a perfect
So it's
situation for
ideal
us.
for you with 3 kids. It's also ideal for families even if you don't have 3 kids and you have 2 younger ones and you don't want somebody up in a bunk at that height.
Yeah.
I can
Yes.
see
True.
how, and of course it's safe, it has high sides on it, but, when you worry about you being in a different room than your kids if they're not used to being in a bunk, if somebody needs to get down to use the bathroom during the night or something like that, I can understand some younger kiddos having some concerns with that. So I can see a lot of scenarios in which it would be handy to have that fold down bed there. So I love that. Those beds are so handy in whatever rooms they put them in. So
They
that's great.
really are. They absolutely are. Also, at Disney's Boardwalk Resort, they announced 3 new things coming to the resort. One it would
Uh-huh.
be the Hurly Burly Lounge and Nightclub. I believe is this going into where the Jelly Rolls location?
So I don't know if they officially said that, but that was my immediate assumption. I would
Okay.
imagine that's where it's going. Also, I was like, what's Hurly Burly? I said to my kids, "Who's Hurly Burly?" And they were like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Well, there's the new lounge. It was announced here at the boardwalk. It's called Hurly Burly. Is that a character? Is there a Burly character? Like, who is this?" I had to Google it. So if you're like me and you've never heard the term Hurly Burly before, it is a state of noise, disorder, confusion, and commotion. Sound like somewhere you want to go, Rachel?
Believe that's called traveling with 3 kids, Hurly Burly.
Right. So, from what we know so far, this is going to be an area that actually immediately reminded me of Disney cruising because it's going to be a family friendly area with different games like trivia.
Like
during the day.
trivia, yes.
So, and trivia immediately makes me think of cruising because other than like maybe some local pubs and bars that you hear doing that kind of thing, you rarely hear about trivia happening and you very rarely hear about family trivia. So, I think that sounds pretty cool. So, during the day, trivia and other family friendly things. And then in the evening, it's going to be 21 plus. So, adult only with musical entertainment at night. So,
It makes me think of the Edison at Disney Springs. I have not been to the Edison. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law actually have gone a couple of times during its adult only hours and have really enjoyed it. And so there'll be coastal inspired cocktails and tasty bites located there too. And then, not new to Walt Disney World by any means, but new to the boardwalk, a new retail space and another Basin soap shop will be opening on the
mhm.
boardwalk too. This might not be as thrilling of an announcement for many people. Do enjoy going to Basin, where they
It
have a lot of
smells
special.
really good, like,
It
when you walk
smells
into the one in
amazing,
the
yeah.
Grand Floridian, it makes me think I want all the things. I'm like, "A bar of shampoo? I wanna try this." No, I do not really want to use that when I get home.
Yeah.
It did not work out for me, but the stuff they have is fun. They have some
Mhm.
super adorable specialty soaps, like, with different
Yes.
designs, characters, colors, and they change pretty regularly. They have some seasonal things, so I'm sure the basin that we have at the boardwalk is going to be, basically the same thing as over at the Grand Floridian, and, if
Yes.
nothing else, I can go sniff some things in there and look at how pretty the bath salts look.
Yeah, and there are different scents between the Grand Floridian and the location at Disney Springs, so I'm guessing Boardwalk will probably have some of its own scents too, so you don't feel
I
like
didn't
you're
even
just.
realize there was one at Disney Springs. I,
Yes,
like,
there.
never got
Yeah,
it's
so
like
Disney
I
Springs
have
is the first one that they opened there at Walt Disney World's property,
well,
and that's the one that we probably frequent more. But they do have different scents but they do have some overlapping ones, but there are different scents in
okay,
each one. So I'm going to assume
good to
that they'll
know.
probably do that too for the boardwalk. And then the third thing that was announced was that there will be a new counter service location, and this is desperately needed at Disney's Boardwalk Resort to have another counter service, but no other
Rachel,
details.
I didn't hear about that. That's incredible news. When
Yes,
did they I don't
yeah.
know anything about it. So they just said it'll be somewhere, like, actually on the boardwalk or inside the resort area, or don't we know?
I heard rumor, and this is not anything from Disney. It's just idea that maybe where Big River Grill was located, I think that might be an empty
Okay.
space.
Yeah, I think it
That
is,
might be
yeah.
where it is. But yes, they desperately
They need it
need.
so much. That would be
Yes.
amazing.
This is one place I've Boardwalk is, I think, one of the two resorts that I have not stayed at on property, but I have
Mm.
gone. I mean, it's a fun place to go to for an afternoon to walk
Yes.
around the actual boardwalk there. So they really need
Or in the
another counter
evening. I love the
station.
evenings there.
Yeah.
We have been there before in the evening, and they have such fun performers. I remember one year, we were down there for my Annie's 10th birthday. She's 17 now, so it's been a few years, but I still remember it like it was recent because it was such a fun experience. One of those things that, we had an extended trip. We probably had near 20 people there with our family, and everybody that came down with us to celebrate her 10th birthday was a big milestone for her at the time. And we were in Epcot for the fireworks, and the thunder and lightning started. And I'm looking at the radar and I'm like, we need to leave. We can't stay here. We need to get back to our hotel. We were staying at the Grand Floridian and I didn't want to go through the mass of people to the front of the park. So I said, let's get to the boardwalk and we'll take a lift. I'm like, each family will have to get
Yeah.
their own lift. And that'll get us out of here and safe as soon as possible because we're in the backside of World Showcase waiting for fireworks. When we got to the boardwalk, we just happened to come upon a magician who also was ready to get out of the incoming weather. And he was like, well, come along with me. And he took us into the lobby area of the boardwalk and he sat us down, our whole group of us in the chairs there by, where the fireplace and the nanny chairs are,
Oh,
those very frightening looking chairs.
yes.
He had us
Yeah.
all sit in there. And I do have still a few video clips of it that he did a show for basically just us, but anybody else who came along. And it
Yeah.
was just so cool, like just a really memorable experience that you never could have planned or scheduled, but it was something that happened for us and for Annie, and it was a lot of fun. So I think with the nighttime entertainment there on the boardwalk. Now, this time it was moved inside because of weather, but at least to let you know, they don't cancel it because of the weather. They'll move some things inside, and weather permitting, they'll be outside with entertainment in the evening.
Yeah.
So, but I love that quick service. It's really needed. There are some grab and go things around there, but I don't think you could even just you can't get a burger on the boardwalk if you wanted to.
No.
You'd
No.
have to go. The only option in that whole area to get a burger would be go to go over to just outside Stormalong Bay at Hurricane Hannah's. Quick service there at Yacht and Beach Club, and you can get a burger there when that's open. But I mean, that's a trek around there. So
That is a trek around there, yeah. So those 3 resorts, I think, desperately need some food overhauls for quick service and counter service, but, so it is good and exciting, but Disney's offered no other announcements or details about it yet, just that it's coming, so we'll
and
see. Yeah, we'll see
they
if it gets
have
open.
made improvements. They've definitely made improvements over the years over at Yacht and Beach Club because there used to be far less than there is now. Now at least we
Yes.
have that a larger marketplace over there with more options being prepared at Yacht Club and at Beach Club. I don't know about you, but I always think it smells like burnt pizza in there. It just like they make the flatbreads and it always smells like burnt pizza. And at some point recently, we were talking about which online company to buy some resort scented like candles and
Yeah.
that type of thing from because we wanted some my mother-in-law wanted something that smelled like yacht club,
Uh-huh.
and one of my kids joked at the time when we said about beach club, they said, "What does it smell like, burnt pizza?"
Okay, well, I'm staying there in as of right now, I'm staying there in September for my 40th birthday, so I'll have to see if,
Yeah.
I'll have to
Well,
go with it
if
and
the
see if
beach
it does
club
the trick.
marketplace is open, like, if you're in there midday or early evening and you walk by, you're gonna smell the aroma of burnt pizza
Okay,
coming out of their
okay.
little shop there because the lobby itself doesn't smell like it, but when you get close to their quick service, it does. But if the kids want something like a burger or chicken tenders, just go out to Hurricane Hannah's, grab it there.
No
We
biggie.
often will take it into the solarium area, which a lot of guests don't really realize is there because they call it a solarium. So
Mhm.
you think like, what even is that? Why do they have that here? And you get in there and it's just an area of seats and tables for you to
Yeah.
be able to use down the hallway. So yeah, okay. Hey, actually, I'm going in September too, and I am staying at the beach club. Fun
Well,
fact.
look
We'll
at
talk that later.
us.
We'll talk dates later. But yeah,
Yes.
surprise. I don't have my dates totally locked in yet, but I think some of it might bump up with yours. So we'll see.
Okay, that'll be fun.
We'll see. I know it's your big trip. All right. I think we've covered most things. Oh, I know one thing I didn't mention yet is we do have the Eat to the Beat concert series dates announced, and that'll be August 28th through November 12th. Of course, that's part of EPCOT's International Food and Wine Festival. We'll talk about that more at a later date. I did see the Boys. The Beach Boys are on the schedule again, the
I
last
saw that
concert.
too. Yes, I did see
Mhm.
that too. That was exciting. I'm glad that that's happening again because that was a huge pool of people that came to go see the Beach Boys. So that
Yes.
is exciting. They'll be there. So John Stamos, I won't be
Never
there
know.
for this year, but we'll see you there, I guess.
We will
Another thing
track him
happening.
if he is. We'll find
Yeah.
out. We'll follow social media and see where he is and report back. So,
Yes.
have you seen the new merch they have out this summer? They're calling it Logo Mania collection. It's different. Have you seen
It
it, or
is
I could
different.
describe it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's bright and bold and kind of monocolored. Like there's
Yeah.
like an entire green collection, entire red collection, and it's just that color. There are
But
some
it's
tote
like a
bags.
Kelly green. It's not
Yeah.
like a chartreuse green. And there's like a blue that's more like a royal blue, I think. And there's an orange. It's
Yes.
a bunch of colors, and they have their merchandise available like with these specific colors, so you could buy
Yeah.
all of the same color if you want.
Yes.
Like I guess if you have a favorite color and it's one of these colors, then it's ideal for you. They have hoodies and water bottles and tote bags
Mhm.
and plushes that are all these colors. I saw somebody comment on mine that they'll just wait and go take their pick when they all end up in the outlets because they don't really look like things that'll sell. And I was like, that is the perfect description of these items because they really just don't seem like something to me that's going to be that incredibly popular. But,
Yeah, and I appreciate Disney wants to keep their merchandise fresh, and they're in the business of making money, so they have to keep their merchandise fresh. But
mhm.
the tote bags, I think the tote bags have maybe a beige or a white, I can't remember, with the color on there, so
Yeah,
it's
I
not
think that,
just one color.
yes, right.
Yeah. So I saw that at first and it was like, okay, they're really playing up on something colorful. But then when you look at the actual merchandise, it was like, whoa, this is just solid
Yeah,
color. Like this is
it's a
just a
lot.
solid.
It's a lot.
It is
So
a lot. Yeah. You really have to be committed to that color.
you do, and they're not terrible, but they will take a certain type of person that really loves a certain color to really
Yeah.
wanna commit to that because they're pretty bold statements, so,
I
I feel like if there was a
guarantee.
slightly different shade of blue, I may be more into it. I'm
Yeah.
kind of like an aqua blue fan. I didn't see an option like that. There is a bright pink, and One of my kids loves pink, so that might be something she's after. We'll see.
I was gonna say if it's there in September, I guarantee you I'm coming home with something red for Meredith. So that
Okay. There you go.
that's her favorite color, and everything is red. So
Speaking of color, before we wrap up, I wanted to jump back just real quick to the Jollywood Nights announcement. Did you see Mickey and Minnie's costume photo for this year?
unfortunately, yes.
Right? Now, see, when I think of holiday costumes, I'm thinking red and green. I want red and green. If it's not red and green, I can go with you to a whimsical winter wonderland of blues and silvers. I can get there. This to me looked more like they brought in Mickey and Minnie from Lookout Key. Like, I don't know what it's like a more pastelly, bright color scheme, which does not say Hollywood glitz and glamour of days gone by
Yeah.
to me. I don't,
Yes. No, I and when I think of Jollywood Nights, and especially the people that I've seen dress up in there, I'm thinking even leaving aside Christmas colors, jewel tones, the burgundies, the,
very
emeralds, which is the Christmas
classic
color.
looking, right?
Very
Like,
classic looking, very deep colors, and this is like, whoa. So when the first I saw the reel that Disney did to announce the new outfits and display
yes,
them,
that's
I
what I
thought,
saw also.
this cannot be for Christmas. Like, this looks so you said Lookout Key. This made me think of, like, a '90s party. Like, this is what when Disneyland has their kind of, like, throwback night events and everything,
Yeah.
like, this would be there must be a new event at Hollywood Studios, and it's gonna be a '90s party because I could have sworn, you're gonna have Zach and Slater coming out of the Max with these outfits. Like, they look just like they're out right out
Little
of Saved
Saved by the Bell for you there. Yeah, that's kinda how they looked. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I saw that same reel, we're talking about the same thing. I was waiting for the camera to turn and show us the holiday outfits. Like, I thought it was, now it's halfway to Christmas, it's June, we're wearing these bright colors, and here's the Christmas,
Yes.
except for that was the Christmas, and I
Yeah.
didn't understand that. So,
Yeah,
we'll see. I
yeah,
mean,
I'm gonna
I
guess
will
there's a
go
limited time
anyway.
actually
You won't
to
have to
this.
twist my arm too much. If somebody was like, "Do you want some Jollywood tickets?" I would say, "Okay, yes, I love Jolly."
Yeah,
But yeah,
can't wait
I
to
thought
see
that
Mickey
was an
and Minnie's new
interesting choice.
outfits.
Very interesting choice. I get that they need to change it up a bit, but I just would prefer something a little more traditional for the holidays. Mostly
Yeah.
because I'm very traditional, and when I go during the holidays, I'm pretty much wearing red and green the whole time, and that would very much clash for all photos. So,
Yeah. Well, and I with the rest of the decor of the park, which Hollywood Studios is all about the classic, the vintage
yeah.
tinsel, and it does not go. It looks like '90s modern interpretation. It really does. Or a Caribbean Christmas. If this was debuting on Lookout or Castaway, okay.
Mhm.
Still don't love it, but
Yep.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, not vintage Hollywood.
Well, I guess if those are our biggest concerns of the day, we can call ourselves blessed, but still
Absolutely.
ponder what on earth these people are thinking. We'll see. We'll see how it all ties together. Maybe we've got some new decor coming to the studios. I hope it's not much of a change because I love the nostalgic look that we typically have at the holidays. So,
Yes. Yeah.
did you have anything else on your list, Rachel? That's all of my new notable things that I wanted to chat about today.
So, just real quick, staying at Hollywood Studios, Disney did release a little bit about the backstory of Monstropolis. It is Human Day, which stands for Humans Understand Monsters Are Nice, which is a part celebration
Okay.
for cultural exchange of humans being able to come into Monstropolis. But I think the big news that came out of this is that Disney is teasing a Harryhausen's restaurant opening up, which is the kind of
Okay.
iconic restaurant in the first film where sushi was served. And I hope they do. This would be very fun, I think, to have at and it makes me think of, Disney Adventure does have a Monsters Inc. themed restaurant on board, which does have sushi and omakase and kind of a stir fry location. So I think this would be fun too to have at Hollywood Studios.
So are we thinking probably the building formerly known as Pizza Rizzo? Is that
I
where we're
guess
thinking
Mama
possibly?
Melrose,
Yeah,
that area.
that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Wrong name,
Well,
wrong name. Mama
but there was
Melrose.
there.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yes.
pizza they gotta do something with Pizza Rizzo too, so
No, I meant Mama. No, no, I was thinking pizza. What am I? I'm so confused. No, Mama Melrose, I can picture it. I have to close my eyes for a second to think. No, I was thinking Pizza Rizzo, but yes, Mama Melrose makes more sense. And now I'm
yeah.
thinking of the correct buildings. But in my head, I was thinking of the one that was Pizza Rizzo. So Either way, one of them would work. So it'll be
Yeah.
we've got 2 restaurant spaces to fill there. So that definitely could
Yes.
be one of the 2, and it'll be interesting to see whatever we come up with the other, because I feel
Yeah.
like we need more food back in the parks there.
Yes, definitely, and I think a better variety too, I think would
Uh-huh.
serve all the city as well.
Yeah. So, well, I guess that about covers everything we need to chat about today in today's episode of things this summer that we're looking forward to and recent changes. So, thanks so much for listening. And now we're going to get into a listener question. This listener question is actually a Disney Cruise Line question. And they ask, when you're doing a back-to-back cruise and you're sailing from Port Canaveral, this guest has a back-to-back cruise from Port Canaveral. They're wondering, are they able to schedule an excursion for that day to enjoy things in Cocoa Beach or at the Kennedy Space Center, or do they need to stay there at the port? So, Rachel, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. So there is absolutely nothing official that you can book through Disney Cruise Line. They do not offer any excursions like that for guests who are taking part in back-to-back sailings. However, you are welcome to arrange something on your own, but you do need to be mindful about the time that you need to be back to the ship. So I would schedule something to be able to return at least 2 hours before that time is to give yourself to be able to account for traffic or any other issues that might hold you up. But you're welcome to book something on your own and go explore some of that area on the Space Coast that you may not have seen otherwise. So thank you so much for that question. That's a great question. And if you have a question you would like to have answered on air, there are 2 email addresses that you could send that to. You can send that to podcast@storybookdestinations.com or a Disney Life at storybookdestinations.com. We're also active on several social media channels, and we'd love for you to interact with us there. We have an Instagram and a TikTok where our handle is a Disney Life Pod. We also have a Facebook group called a Disney Life, and we will post weekly episode updates there, and we post reels throughout the week on TikTok and Instagram.
Go ahead and wrap things up today with a tip of the week. So, for today's tip, we can go back a little bit to what we were talking about with the lightsaber experience. And this is kind of a budgeting tip for you today. This can work particularly with kids, but it could work with adults who are trying to budget and work on their spending also and not go overboard with souvenirs. Because, like we said, there's always merchandise, there's merch for everything. It's easy to buy too much. So, what I recommend doing is planning ahead and using Disney gift cards exclusively for your merchandise purchases, because this will limit how much you're able to spend. You're not just charging it back to the room or on a credit card or something without really being mindful of how much money you have left in that merchandise spending budget. It's also something that you could work with your kids ahead of time so that they could work by doing various chores or whatever works for your family. Even if you're just gifting to them money to use for merchandise when they're there for their souvenirs. If you have it all on one gift card per child or per person, that's a really easy way to go ahead and manage that. These could be electronic gift cards that you have a screenshot of in your phone, so you're able to keep track there, or they could be a hard gift card that you purchase at a store or online through Disney's website. Any way works, but Disney gift cards, when you do use them, will always give you a receipt, and then you'll be able to see on the receipt as you purchase things what your remaining balance is. So that's an easy way to track that and try to budget for your merchandise spending. And that'll do things for today's episode. Thank you so much for being here, whether it was the first time you came to listen or if you've been here since the beginning or somewhere in between. We always appreciate you being here. We love to hear from our listeners and we love chatting with you. So thanks so much for listening, and we hope you'll tune in next time.